19 kids and counting is under arrest this morning. He's accused of sexually abusing a 9-year-old girl 6 years ago in Florida.
Friends, there is a huge difference between an internet rumor and an official court order. And when a judge places a strict ban on a case, normal life can change overnight. Today, I'm going to share a shocking update about the Duggar family that honestly might surprise many of you. Just think about it for a second. When Joseph Duggar is placed under a strict, no-contact order by the court, what is really happening inside the jail and inside the family? And why is the judge refusing to relax these rules during this high-profile pre-trial period? What is happening behind the scenes that the public still doesn't fully know? In today's video, I'll walk you through the strict rules connected to this case, along with some insider details and legal realities that many people online are missing completely. So don't skip the video, and stay with me till the end. Because in the middle of this story, there's a twist that may completely change how you look at the entire situation. And friends, before we begin, tell me honestly, what do you think about the judge's harsh decision in this case? Do you think these strict rules are necessary or too extreme? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy videos like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now come on, let's look at the real story together. To many people online, terms like no contact order sound very simple at first. People hear the phrase and immediately assume they already know exactly what it means. But in reality, these situations are usually much more complicated, especially when family members, children, lawyers, and public attention
The
are all
Duggars starred
involved.
in the TLC reality show
honestly,
19
this
Kids
is where
and
the
Counting.
difference
The hit
between
series
internet
followed the
gossip
lives
and
of
real
the Duggar
courtroom
family who said
procedure
they were
becomes
guided
very
by
obvious. These legal restrictions are not designed for convenience. They are designed for control, procedure, and legal protection. But social media discussions often ignore that part completely. A no-contact order can include many different rules. Sometimes it means no direct communication. Sometimes no indirect communication. Sometimes even supervised interactions become restricted. In certain cases, people may not be allowed to call, text, email, or even communicate through social media or third parties. And the reason courts do this is actually very
sit on his
simple.
lap, and at one point, she says he touched her inappropriately underneath a blanket. Duggar was taken into custody on Wednesday in his home state of Arkansas, where authorities allege
usually do not want gray areas, because gray areas can later create arguments, misunderstandings, or legal complications. Now, one important thing needs to be very clear here. Public legal documents only show part of the story. A lot of pre-trial information is often hidden, sealed, limited, or intentionally kept private. And honestly, that is very common in sensitive legal situations. But online, people often fill those missing spaces with rumors and theories. The public usually does not see every detail happening quietly behind the scenes. And sometimes, people mistake silence for secrecy, when in reality, silence is simply part of the legal process. For a family as public as Jim Bob Duggar and Michelle Duggar, even normal communication can suddenly become complicated. Family dinners, birthdays, travel plans, childcare, even casual visits. Everything may suddenly need to be carefully planned around court restrictions. And while this sounds dramatic, legally, it's actually not unusual at all. In many high-profile cases, lawyers often advise families to be extremely careful about communication. because even innocent conversations can later become part of legal arguments or public controversy. And during an active pre-trial period, every interaction can carry potential legal consequences. That's why courts and attorneys usually prioritize stability, documentation, and control over emotional comfort. And honestly, that reality can become emotionally exhausting for everyone involved. Even relatives who are not directly part of the case may feel the pressure. The important thing people sometimes forget is that situations like this don't affect only one person. They affect the entire family system. The Duggar family has always built a public image around closeness, unity, and constant connection. So when strict legal boundaries suddenly interrupt that structure, the emotional impact can become very noticeable. Even small decisions suddenly become stressful. Who can meet whom? Who can share information? Who is allowed at family gatherings? What happens if children are involved? These are not just internet discussions anymore. These become real-life problems. And during the pre-trial phase, courts are often intentionally strict. Because the legal system wants to avoid interference, witness pressure, intimidation concerns, or accusations that evidence was somehow influenced. And one reason judges rarely make exceptions is consistency. Once exceptions start happening, rules become harder to enforce. So courts usually prefer firm boundaries during sensitive proceedings. Now emotionally, this can feel cold. But courts are not designed around emotions. They are designed around procedure. And I honestly think many people underestimate how emotionally draining these restrictions become over time. Even temporary communication limits can slowly create tension inside extended families. Some relatives may fully support the restrictions. Others may quietly disagree. Some may avoid public discussion completely. And in families connected to reality television, every silence immediately gets analyzed online. Every missing photo, every absence from an event, every small detail. People start searching for hidden meanings everywhere. But honestly, not every absence is some huge conspiracy. Sometimes families are simply following legal advice. Sometimes they want to protect their children from public attention. And sometimes, they genuinely don't know how to handle the situation while cameras, headlines, and internet comments surround them constantly. That human side often gets forgotten online. Another very important point here is the difference between criminal charges, public opinion, and court procedure. Online discussions often mix all three together. But legally, they are completely different things. The court system moves through hearings, filings, deadlines, restrictions, and procedures. Public opinion moves emotionally and instantly. And those two worlds almost never move at the same speed. That distinction matters, because misunderstanding the legal process creates unrealistic expectations. People expect dramatic updates every single day. But in reality, the legal system usually moves very slowly and very carefully. And for a high-profile family like the Duggars, that slow process can become emotionally exhausting, because public attention never really stops. I think people are especially fascinated by this situation because the Duggar family always presented such a controlled and organized public image. So when strict legal restrictions suddenly appear inside that world, people naturally become curious about what is happening behind closed doors. But at the end of the day, No contact orders are not created for television drama. They are legal tools. And during active pre-trial periods, courts often enforce them very strictly to maintain control over the process. That's the reality many people online don't fully understand. The internet wants fast emotional answers. The legal system wants patience, documentation, and strict compliance. And honestly, those two things rarely fit together comfortably. As this situation continues unfolding publicly, people will probably keep speculating about family relationships, communication, and internal tensions. But the most important thing to remember is that court restrictions are serious. And violating those restrictions, even accidentally, can create major legal consequences. That is exactly why judges are usually very careful about taking risks in sensitive cases. And in the end, this story is bigger than just internet rumors. It's also a reminder of how strict, complicated, and emotionally difficult the legal process can become once official restrictions are put in place.